Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, it's time to look deeper into the rigid tools that I bought here. I've had them for a long time now. I don't even know how long ago I did that video, but I had them actually before that video ever even came out for a little while. And now I've definitely used every single one of these tools as, much as any normal person would use them, probably plus some. So I'm going to give you my opinion on each one of them. Well, first thing, the bag. My opinion on it, it's too bulky to put all the tools in. It's too big of a bag for even the amount of tools you get. If they would kind of pare it down or make it a hard shell, I don't know, do something that it would carry the tools without them rattling all around, would be better. But on the upper hand, I have found a great place to put some of my excess and plumbing stuff. So I have quite a bit of plumbing stuff in there, and it's actually worked out great for that. So as far as a bag, works good for that type of thing. The impact, it is probably the one I use the most. I think every person and homeowner and DIYer, everybody should have one of these. They are the most handy tool. I probably use this more than almost every other tool I own. From mechanic stuff to framing to everything. I mean, you can use this thing for just about, even drilling. There's drill bits now that you can just pop right into these things. Got to be careful with those. It can break some of those pretty bad. But regardless, this is probably the tool that I use the most out of every tool I own. If not daily when I'm doing stuff, but at least once a week I grab this for something. So it is a very good tool. Now, compared to the Makita one I had, it's still a little bit heavy, a little bit more bulky, but yet again, price, I've been very, very happy with it. Maybe not quite as happy as the Makita, but price-wise, I'm more than happy enough. I really do like the 3 speeds, although I do have to say I was the one downside about that. 1, pretty much never used. 2, I can use it quite a bit, but it doesn't quite do it. And 3 is almost a little bit too much, for lack of a better way of putting it. But I pretty much keep it on 3 and just use the trigger and, figure out what speed I want it at and call it good. As far as batteries, at first I got a little worried. The batteries didn't seem to last very long, but now they're lasting quite a bit longer. So it did seem like it took a little while for these batteries to really come into their own. But I've been using it for quite a while now, like I said. I've dropped it a couple times and it still keeps on kicking. I haven't had any problems with it. This one I've never even had heat up so much that it burns out. Although I got a little clip here I will show you as far as heating up. I'm kind of in the middle of my bathroom makeover, so if you haven't seen any of those and you're doing a bathroom or want to watch me do my bathroom up here, it's the upstairs one. Go check those videos out. But regardless of that, after the little plug there, this is kind of after I've had a chance to use this for, I don't know how long I've had it now. I'm thinking it's got to be close to a year, if not a little bit more. And I am super happy with these rigid tools, especially the Sawzall, the Reciprocating saw, as most people complain they call it. And I do know that Sawzall is a name brand, but I'm old. Anyhow, this is the impact gun right here. And this is a downfall to it. This is going to be kind of a what I like and don't like about things video, so this is what I don't like about it. I did this whole board about 6 or 8 inches into the joist here at each one of these lines. So several screws. It was a pretty good screw. But after that one board, that thing is really, really hot. Almost uncomfortably hot to handle. And I have noticed that about this. If you do any work that is constant, going, the batteries don't die. But the machine, that gets really, really hot. I've also noticed that with the drill. I haven't done as much drilling, but even with the drill, if you do a lot of drilling all in a row, it tends to get really, really hot. And I don't remember that from my Makita that I had. And So that is definitely a downfall to this. And I mean, I am drilling, I don't know if they're 3.5 inch screws, so some pretty good screws into like 1-inch boards plus through the joists here. So I am drilling, I mean, all the way through is working that machine fairly hard with these longer screws, but I think it should be able to do it without being quite as hot as it is. So we'll see. I'm hoping that, you know, I'm assuming that because it's not obviously cooling down enough, that'll shorten the life of this, unfortunately. Now, I will say, I think the more the brushes, because this is a brushed one, the brushes wear in, I think it's starting to not quite have that problem quite as much. And honestly, unless you're just doing one after another, like when I go to do sheetrock, we'll have to see how well it does, because it does get pretty warm. But I have noticed that, you know, for normal use, it's great. I haven't had any problems for normal use. It does get a little warm though when you use it a lot. But I do think the more it breaks in, the less that has been happening, or that I've been noticing it. So we'll see when I get to do sheetrock. Now for the drill. Been pretty happy with this. Honestly, I use the impact so much more than I use the drill. I pretty much drill pilot holes, and I have been using it quite a bit with a paddle bit for my doing electrical, drilling through the walls and that kind of stuff. I have tried drilling some bigger holes, and although it does it with no problem and has the torque to do it, it hits that cutoff quite a lot more than I would think it would. It really does. It kind of shuts itself down, and you gotta stop for a second, release the button, and then press the button so it starts going again. So for bigger jobs, this one kind of lets you down a little bit, unfortunately. I think I have a clip of that as well. Okay, well, if you've watched my other video about installing my tub, you've already seen this, but here's the big downfall to these rigids. They have some safety feature which basically keeps you from overheating things or something, I don't know. I mean, they have a ton of torque, but you go to use this and it dies because, first of all, dull blade doesn't really want to cut. It's just burning the wood practically. But when you really need to get through something, you don't want that. So it is definitely a downfall to this rigid. I don't think my other drills that I've ever had would have done something like that. So to be honest about this one, I think it kind of misses the mark a little bit on what I use it for, to be honest. Regular drilling, paddle bits, those kind of things are fine. It's when you go to use hole saws, things like that, and especially into wood, the bigger ones like I showed you, it just hits that cutoff too quickly, and it takes forever to drill through anything that you got a lot to go through. So I think it misses the mark there. It does have the 2 speeds. It's got the hammer, it's got the screw. The hammer one I have used, and it's no different than the Makita. They both kind of rattle you to death. And the screw gun one, I never use that. I never screw screws with a drill anymore, not since I got the impact. So I pretty much leave it on drill, leave it all the way up, and it does that fine. It drills pilot holes, it drills regular sized holes. It'll even do paddle bits through the walls pretty good. I have, using a paddle bit a couple times, hit that cutoff. So that cutoff just kicks in too soon, I personally believe, on this. It's starting to wear down the corner here. That's just something I just noticed on the, is that the battery? Yeah, that's actually on the battery there. So you can see these get used. I mean, I'm wearing out the little bit of rubber they have down there on it. But so I'm a little disappointed in this, but all in all, it works as a drill for most things perfectly fine. Yet again, I wouldn't let that stop you from buying this if you're a homeowner. It will do the job. It'll just take a little bit longer, maybe. What's this? Sawzall? It says Sawzall. Oh, yeah. That's what's in there. The Sawzall. King of them all, this Sawzall, or I should say reciprocating saw, because some of you may care. But anyway, this has been awesome. I have used this way more than my other one, mainly for the simple ease of, you know, adjusting this and being able to just turn this and put a blade in. It's so easy to switch blades in this, and it's easy because I don't have to plug it in. You know, I can lock it real easy to switch blades, so I tend to be safer with it. I don't take the battery out, but I will lock it, so that doesn't work. I haven't used the orbital that much. Even I find, even with when I'm usually doing the demolition part of things, I want a little bit more precision where I'm cutting, because a lot of things I'm trying to reuse some of it. So for me, the orbital thing I could go with or without. I haven't really noticed a difference as far as that. But man, I've used this a lot more than I thought I would. I love this, and it works great. It doesn't rattle your teeth out. It's smooth when you're cutting things. I've used it for wood. I've used it for big galvanized sewer pipe. I've used it for plastic pipe. I've used it for metal piping. I've cut nails. I've cut metal with it. I've used it a lot, surprisingly a lot, because of the ease of being able to just grab it and go. I'd say next to the Impact, this is the one I've actually used more than any of the rest of them. I've probably put this through more abuse than the saw or the drill, and definitely more than the light. Now, the saw. The first thing you'll notice is the Diablo blade. Just go pick up another blade. Use this one for junk and for cutting through stuff, and for using for ruining. Otherwise, I mean, so I keep it. I've kept it. But otherwise, if you're doing any, you know, cutting through 2x4s or cutting through things that you want a little bit of better job of cutting done, just go get a better blade. I mean, that's with a lot of tools out there. This one's no different. The blade that comes with it's kind of junk, but all in all, I'm real happy with this. It's got more than enough power to get through things. I've never hit the cutoff on this while using this where it overheated. I checked the plate and it seems pretty flat as far as straight with the blade, 90 degrees and stuff. I haven't measured everything as far as, you know, how well the degrees on the angles on this, if that's all accurate or not, but for what I use it for, I kind of put it where I think I need it and cut. Mainly I make straight cuts with it, and I'm happy with it for that. This I'm real happy with. As far as the Makita versus this, I'd say the Makita maybe made a little bit straighter cuts, but I think that's because it had the smaller blade, so therefore you don't get quite as much maybe wobble out of it. But all in all, I'm real happy with this. It does everything I've needed it to do, and it makes straight enough cuts. If I can make a straight cut, it'll make a straight cut. It's more user error when it comes to this one. But anyhow, I'm real happy with it. Like most people, kind of wish this wasn't plastic, but I haven't had any problems with it. It does kind of, you know, wobble around a little bit. But everything else is metal. So yet again, another kind of surprise. I had a Craftsman one of these, and I used it often, but not that often. But this, I can keep it in my bag. I just take it with the battery and I stuff it in my bag with, and then whatever I'm using, if I need it, I can grab a battery off of whatever I need to, throw it on there. And I do like this feature that I've used this a few times, where you can kind of maneuver this in wherever you want it. And then when you turn it on, you know, you can put it wherever you want on the wall or whatever it is you're working on, and just have it sitting there behind you, lighting up what you're working on. So, actually been very happy with this. Haven't had any problems with it, but again, I haven't used it a ton, but when I need it, it's nice to have. So all in all, I'm ecstatic about this. You know, about the only thing I have a little disappointment in is maybe the drill, and that's just basically because of that safety feature that cuts it off. But everything else in here works as good or better than I need it to. So I'm really happy with it. And the biggest thing is, like I said, this thing right here, I would almost pay that price for, and especially if I got this and these two things, I think those are kind of the freebies out of the bunch. Because honestly, by the time you pay for each one of these separately in probably any other brand except for maybe Ryobi, you're going to be paying a lot more money to get the same tools. And yeah, maybe these are a little more bulky and a little less quality, but for that difference in price, I am ecstatically happy with these tools. And they've done everything I've needed them to, plus. I haven't had any problems other than the one. So I'm super happy with it. You all can decide for yourselves what you think based on my information. But so far I haven't had to bring them in for any kind of maintenance or any kind of warranties or anything like that. So yet again, that part of it's yet to be seen. But you know, if I'm still around and one of these breaks and I'm still doing videos, then you'll be knowing about it. Alright, so go out and get these if you have the means to do so and you're a DIYer. If you're a professional, maybe go spend a little bit more money. Alright, this is Sam, Jack of all, Master of none. You all have a good one.